The list of questionable activity by John Setka is a mile long, including the current criminal charges he's facing on harassing a woman. Shouldn't the Labor Party have taken action a long time before now?
Well, of course, I've been the leader of the Labor Party for less than 2 weeks, Lee, so I don't think anyone can say that I haven't been decisive on this issue. Of course, my actions don't relate to anything that's before the courts. What they relate to is the views that Mr Setka has put forward on a range of issues that are frankly out of line, not just with the Labor Party, but out of line with mainstream Australian views.
If John Setka is expelled from the Labor Party, he can still carry on as Victorian Secretary of the CFMEU, am I right?
Well, that's right. I mean, he's elected as the Secretary of the Union, and that's a matter for the Union.
So how would Labor then deal with the Victorian branch of the CFMEU if he's there?
Well, if he's not a member of the Labor Party, he can't participate in any Labor Party forums. It's that clear.
But you have a relationship with the CFMEU, you take money from them and so forth.
What I have control over is the Labor Party. I'm not the leader of the CFMEU, I'm the leader of the Labor Party, and I've exercised my authority in partnership after consultation with colleagues. We've made sure we've got it right. Today, Mr Setka's membership has been suspended by the National Executive Committee, and I'll take a motion of expulsion to the next meeting of the National Executive, which will be the first Friday in July.
The CFMEU more broadly has a history of law breaking. The federal court has slammed its record as disgraceful and woeful. It's been fined millions of dollars over the years. As Labor leader, will you be happy to work with and to take money from an organisation with that track record?
Well, the fact is there are also employers in the construction industry that have had real issues. This is a dangerous industry. If you don't have unions in the construction sector, what you'll have is an increase beyond the already very high numbers of people who are victims, literally in terms of fatalities, but also injuries on work sites. Unions play an important role in that, but unions need to stick to the law, as do employers.
Well, the ACTU Secretary Sally McManus said on this program back when she got the job that when laws are unjust, she doesn't see a problem with breaking them. Do you endorse that attitude?
I support people complying with the law, whether they're unions or businesses. And one of the things that I've tried to say, Lee, since I became leader of the party, is that unions and business have common interests. When I've met with people during the listening tour I'm conducting around the nation, they recognise that, both businesses and union leaders, and dare I say it as well, individual smaller employers, but also individual workers recognise that as well. What we need is less division in our society and more concentration on what unites us as a country.
On your listening tour, what have you learnt so far that you didn't know?
Well, one of the things I've learnt, one is that obviously people are very disappointed in the result on May 18, but they're determined. We had 400 people turn up to a pub in Freo on Sunday afternoon just to engage in the debate about Labor's future and about how we get a better outcome next time. But we've also had from a number of businesses who I've met with concern about the relationship with the Labor Party and a view that somehow we were concentrating perhaps on what divides us as a nation rather than what unites us. And certainly the issue of franking credits was an issue during the election campaign, but I think more broadly there was an image issue of how we positioned ourselves going into that election.
Your Shadow Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, today has written an article saying that Labor needs to reclaim its place as the party of aspiration. Wouldn't it help aspiration to back the coalition in lowering personal income tax rates for people?
It certainly would on the first tranche of the coalition's proposal, which is aimed at low and middle income earners, and we support that, Lee. We've said that very clearly. We're disappointed that Prime Minister Morrison has already broken a commitment because that was due to come in on July 1. As for the second and third tranches of that proposal, they're off beyond the election to come in 2022. And in the third tranche's case, that's in 2025. It is very clearly, in my view, a triumph of hope over economic reality for anyone to be able to say they know what the economy will look like in 2025. There's already great turbulence and uncertainty, both in the global economy but also in the domestic economy.
But wouldn't setting a long-term policy like that help with certainty? Business, for example, is always saying, oh, we're lacking certainty. Setting a policy that far out would give some certainty, wouldn't it?
Well, the government isn't providing certainty in terms of the analysis which has been put forward. They're yet to even give us a figure of what the impact is from income ranges of the proposals that they're putting forward. They're yet to say what cuts might need to be made. If you are making these major changes in 24-25, then you need to say what the impact will be, not just on the revenue side, but on the expenditure side as well. What cuts will be necessary? We want to examine all of this in detail. We'll do it in a considered way, and then we'll come to a position.
Why do you say that it would help aspiration when a cut's at the lower end, but not at the middle end? Plenty of people earn money, particularly if they're being aspirational and advancing their business. They would be earning money in that sort of middle bracket.
Lee, I think the difference between Labor's approach to aspiration and the coalition's is simply this. I'm an embodiment of aspiration. I grew up single parent in a council house not far from here. I'm now leader of the Labor Party, and I've done very well in life. People aspire to a better life for themselves and their family. My mum did that for me, and I do that for my son, and we all do it for our kids. But we do things other than just our direct individuals and families. We aspire to a better neighbourhood, community and indeed nation. To do that, we need to look at things like education and investment. We need to make sure that the health system works for everyone, not just those who can afford to pay for healthcare. We need to make sure that housing affordability is addressed. That's the aspiration that I think Australians really have. It's not about individualism. It is about the family, community and indeed national aspiration as well.
Anthony Albanese, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.